Hey guys, welcome to another layout. Now this one I decided to go back through my older papers, and this one is a Maggie Holmes, I believe. Maggie Holmes Garden Party, this paper was, and I fussy cut the flowers. And I don't know about you, but Maggie Holmes, I sort of struggle to see the flower shapes, like they're so sort of sparse. So I decided that I would endeavour to give it a crack and see if I could make it look a little bit more cohesive. I think I win in the very end, but I will be honest with you, I wasn't feeling 100% when I did this one, and it kind of shows in the sense that I kind of do a few things a little bit backwards to the way I normally would. So it sort of stands out a little bit, but that's okay. It comes together in the end, and I don't drag it on forever, so you don't have to stick around for 40 minutes to watch what I'm doing. Now, what I'm basically doing is creating with my compass I was trying to do them evenly, and as you can see there, that was not at all even. So I'm better at just eyeballing this stuff, honestly. I measure it and then see, it's just easier for me to just eyeball it, and it works so much quicker. Now, the reason I did that in lead pencil and I used my compass, because it's just easier. You know, sometimes we reinvent the wheel and we don't need to, because my $1.99 compass that I bought from Kmart a bazillion years ago, it makes circles as big as I want. Actually, I'll tell you as I'm talking, I'll tell you the biggest circle I can do with this little tiny cheap compass. I can do this is the cheapest compass you will buy, and I can do 6 3/4 inch radius. So I can do nearly 12 inches round with a compass, and then you can bring it in increments as thin or as thick as you want. So to be completely honest with you, why reinvent the wheel? I mean, we went to school and we learned this is how we do circles, this is how we do, you know, and why not just use something that we know works? Now, you know, time's gone by. I know I've had better compasses than this one, but like I said, why spend a fortune when $1.99 works? So that's my theory. Now, as you can see, I'm doing a bit of faux stitching. That's what I'm sort of, and I've pulled a couple of those felt pens. Again, they're just some cheapies from Kmart. I pulled those ones because they sort of were the closest felt pens that I had to the colours that were in the Maggie Holmes Garden Party collection. Now, what else can I tell you? I did that and then realised, I actually realised it about here. I realised, these are not Sharpies. These will bleed if I put texture paste over the top of this. What was I thinking? So I should have, at this point, to be completely truthful, I should have flipped it over and started fresh and maybe done the circles later. But you know what? No harm, no foul. It still works. It works fine. But in future, and I'm going to advise you, if you want to do this, by all means, it's like so easy. It's so simple. But if you want to do something like this, do yourself a favour and either use permanent marker, use an alcohol marker, so like a Copic or I've got some cheap ones. I've got some from Kmart. As long as the colours match, you know, you could use alcohol markers, you could use Sharpies, you could use Posca pens, you could do all sorts of things where if you put the texture paste over the top, it's not going to bleed. So you can give that a crack, see if that's what you like. But yeah, maybe steer clear of the normal kiddie felt pens. Now I'm doing one photo here. This particular photo, I just wanted to scrap it because I've scrapped other photos similar to this one, But I'm just revisiting a few photos that I really, really like, that I think as my kids get older, they may want to keep certain layouts, like in their own album at their own place, possibly, you know, down the track. So I'm duplicating some of them. Now, here's where I'm talking about these florals. It's difficult to see the separation in the flower itself. I have this trouble with a lot of Maggie Holmes stuff, like a lot of her florals, her flowers, her all, you know, all that sort of stuff. I struggle. Like that one that I just put there, I can see the flower, but they just look a little bit chaotic to me. I've only got 1.5 sheets left of this particular garden party collection, and to be completely honest, I wouldn't buy it again if it was done in a similar way. And that's just me. I love the quality, I love the colors, I love all of that, but I personally like, if I'm putting a rose down, I want it to look like a rose. And I really struggled when I put these down. Even when I used the foam tape underneath and raised some up, I did think about it, and I do it on my next cluster. I did think I could go around the edges of all the flowers to sort of give them definition. I did do that a little bit, and it sort of worked, but I liked it. I liked the end result. I just struggled a little bit, and I've worked out why I struggled. Normally, if you are an OG or you've been around here for a little bit, you know that I love myself some mixed media. Well, this week I've been on a bit of a just be with paper. You know, like I know sometimes I love just doing lots and lots of mixed media, and then sometimes I like to do just paper. Just, you know, do things with paper. And that's what I've kind of been doing. I've been on a bit of a paper tangent the last couple of layouts, and I'm looking at this, and I'm not even kidding. What I'm actually doing here is me going, what's wrong with this picture? Then I realized there's no mixed media, and I've just got a plain white background, and that is what's doing my head in. So I scrunched up a little bit of plastic. I find when you're doing the smushing technique, okay, here's my advice for this particular layout. Other than make sure you used non-water reactive felt tips. Now, the other thing that I want to bring advice to you. When you do the smooshing technique, kissing technique, splatting technique, however, whatever you want to call it, where you use a bit of packaging and you put down some colour, whether it's inks, whether it's paint, whether it's pick your medium. Now, I find it's a lot easier if I scrunch up the piece of plastic and put lines and crunches in it. I find I get more uneven splats. It's not that I don't like it going down in a full wash, like in a kissing technique, like, you know, just a full rolling of all the colours together. But quite often, this is more what I'm after. More of a speckled, dappled kind of, has a bit more of a leopard sort of feel to it. That leopard, I'm talking about flowers and leopards. Gee whiz. Unbelievable. But that's what my brain thinks of when I see that. It's patchy. There's nothing, no two bits are the same. I haven't smooshed one colour into another colour or anything like that. And this is where I decided if I go around the edges of these flowers, maybe that'll give them some more definition. Now, I used Distress Oxide Victorian Velvet, and I used Tattered Rose and a little bit of Saltwater Taffy. And then I come in with later on, I come in with a this is where I realised I just should have done some mixed media in the background, because that's what this page was lacking. So I've come in with a couple of mark making stamps. These are the Prima ones, and they are Old Receipt and Secret Notes. These two are fantastic. And the other one that I'm using here, it's a Stampin' Up! Awesomely Artistic stamps. I don't know if they're still available. I like them because there's this rectangle one that I'm using now, and it gives me a really nice, even bit of texture, and I really like that one. So I go through phases with my stamps. Sometimes I like circles, sometimes I like squares, I'm being very, very cautious over where I've done the felt pen lines, because I don't want to add too much liquid over there. That's why I'm using the paper towel to dab it back up. I had someone ask me the other day, when do I know to dry it and when do I know to dab it up with the paper towel? Honestly, the answer is practice. Practice is the only way you really start to get the feel for it. Something that I would suggest that you do is get some, your old papers that we've all got tons of them and we don't use them for anything. We're probably never going to like them ever again because we didn't really like them when we first bought them. Those papers? How some of them are white on the back. Do yourself a favour, pull out a couple of those that you're probably never going to use anyway, and just get used to putting down layers of stamping. Just do some stamps. It doesn't take that much ink, so it's not really wasting a lot of your supplies, and teach yourself to build up. Now, the other thing you have to have in the back of your mind is this. When you do your stamping, when you do your mixed media, you don't see all of it because you put your flowers, your photos, your whatever over the top. The other thing I'm going to tell you is you need to, when you think, oh yeah, that looks pretty good, take 2 more steps. Just 2 more steps, just 2 more bits. Because when you start adding your flowers or adding it could be shapes, it could be flowers, it could be things you fussy cut, it could be ephemera, it could be bits of bling, you could add crystals, you could add all sorts of things to your page. Now, when you're just playing, obviously don't glue them down because you don't want to waste your ephemera, but just give yourself a feel of how it looks and just play with what stamps you have. Try folding your stamp in half and just using just a touch of it. See how different that looks when you stamp it. You might look at a stamp and go, I hate this stamp. I don't even know why I bought it. Turn it upside down, cut it in half, fold it in half. Do something to it that will then possibly make you love the stamp more. Something I actually saw somebody do. There was a stamp and it was actually written in a different language. And and when I say I saw somebody do this, I kid you not, this was probably 7, maybe 8 years ago. And what they actually did, it was a cheap stamp. Like, it wasn't one of your ones that cost you $60, but it was a cheap stamp and it was in a different language, and she didn't realize that until she got it home. But what she actually did, she got her craft knife and she just sliced pieces out of it and really chunked it up a little bit. Didn't go all the way through, just the top layer where the stamp was actually cut out. And it was one of those it was a red rubber stamp, so it was easier for her to cut through. And she just took chunks out of it. And I tell you what, she actually then said it was her favourite stamp after she did that because she distressed it. If you've got something in your collection, your stash, if you've got something there that you have spent your good money on and you have not used it, try doing something like that to it. Because, why have it sit there, and why we've spent the money on it, we're not using it? Reinvent the wheel with that, and then you might find that you actually love it, especially if it's line marking in the background like this. I I might do a quick, so you understand what I was talking about. I've got some stamps here I could do it with. I might do that and just pop it up over on Facebook maybe, or I might even do a layout later today and I'll do it in that. And just to show you that you can literally, you can reinvent the wheel with a stamp that you bought because it was $2 or it was in the throw out bin or whatever. You got it home and it's written in French and you never go to wineries or anything, so you don't know what you could possibly do with this stamp. Distress that sucker. And especially if you do media journal, mixed media journal. That's what I was trying to get out of my mouth. Yeah, so I start to bring this together. This is when I realized, okay, I know what I'm missing. I'm putting these little crystals. These are the most darling little crystals. I love them. They give me the shimmer, the shine, the reflection, and the bling that I really wanted on this layout. These flowers come alive once I put all these bits of bling. Now, I got all these from ALINA Crafts. I got a massive big packet of these and they only cost me like, I think they were $2.99 or $3.99. They were not expensive at all. And that's why I go to town with these, because they're not over the top expensive. And I glue them down with my art glitter glue, and those puppies, they're not going anywhere. So I absolutely love this, and it's at this point that I'm having a quick look. I like it. I like it a lot. And then I was going to come in with some liquid pearls. Then I realized I know what I'm missing. I need to do something to define these flowers a little bit more. And I have gone ahead and I've sprinkled a little bit of, and I say a little bit because I'm not great with the big splats, okay? Especially when I'm going for something like this that's a little bit more delicate. I'm trying to create a more delicate, I know it sounds funny that I'm doing my photo is of an elephant, my child in an elephant outfit, and I'm going for such a delicate looking page, but it's just something different. I'm trying to get you guys to think about, it's as much about the photo and the subject as it is the story, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do, it's an elephant. Don't do here truck, say, you know, say truck, here truck, say truck. Don't do that. Just literally, you know, if that's the papers you want to use, create the layout that you've got in your head. Create that, the difference. Create that, and it works. Trust me. So, well, actually, you tell me, do you think this works or not? Now, do your line work before you put your diamantes down so you're not in fear of knocking them off like I was. So this is it, guys. Have a look at all that shimmery, blingy, shiny goodness. I love the glistening bits throughout the flowers. By adding the glossy accents, it highlighted the black a little bit more. Probably not as happy with the flowers as I could have been. Maybe I should have gone around the edges of them all in black. I went around these ones, the edges on those ones with the Victorian velvet, but still don't think it's great. But hey, it's a layout and we don't have to love every single one. Am I right? So thank you so much for watching, guys. I will be back with another video tomorrow. And thank you so much for watching. And I will have everything listed below. That's just showing you that I poked the photo through the back. I'll have everything listed below in the description, including my socials. If you want to jump over to the Facebook group, we have a wonderful group over there, and everyone helps everyone, and it is fantastic. Thank you so much for watching. I'll chat to you soon. Bye for now, guys.